We've got a real nice plot here. I'd say, according to Randy, this is probably one of the nicest looking plots that he's had. And I think the hybrids are showing really well what their potential are, and give you guys a good idea, some placement ideas on where to put products, and some of the new hybrids that we've got added to our lineup this year. We're trying to continue to add some depth. As you're aware, historically we've been fairly heavy on smart stacks, and knowing that the situation that we're in from a commodity price position, and growers looking at different alternatives for different trait mixes. We also have brought in some double pros, some AgriSure products as well, to give you guys more tools in your toolbox to add profitability to your farming operation. And so we'll talk a little bit about some of those. To start off with, I just want to kind of make a note to a storyboard that we've got here, and it talks a little bit about the benefit of our independence as a seed brand. For ProHarvest, we are not a one-trick pony. We're not beholden to any one breeding program. We're not beholden to any one trait program like some of our competitors are that carry a lot bigger area that they work in. And so this gives us the flexibility to work with all the main genetic suppliers that are out there in the marketplace. And you can see a handful of those that are listed on our storyboard. But Randy and I and Keith, and we have good conversations with those genetic suppliers to help us find products that work best for you. And so we've got a really nice testing program that we work through, and our map there of the Midwest, all those green dots are locations where we're testing products, and gives us a really good ability to find the adaptability of products to different soil types, growing conditions, look at the weather that happened in those areas over the last year, and help us fine tune our positioning statements on the products that we work through. And then we've also in the last 2 years added some software to our decision-making process, and that product is called Seed Matrix. And what that does is allows us to take our product testing, our independent testing from our strip trials like this plot here behind us, also from contracted research that we work through with 3 different companies, take that information and also the university testing data, third-party testing groups like Soy Capital or First Trials, put all that data into a database, and then allows us to put comparisons together, looking at products that we currently have in our portfolio, experimental products, test them over a much wider area than what we just would be able to do by ourselves individually, and gives us a much deeper pool to work from to find products that fit your guys' needs. So for a small independent seed brand, we have the ability to tap into a lot of resources, and gives us the ability to really flex some muscle in terms of finding products that best suit your guys' farming operations. So hopefully that'll give you a little bit of insight as to maybe where some of our germplasm comes from, and kind of how we put together our product portfolio going forward. 6338 is a new addition for us this year. We've had 6101 as a 101 day. This is a new 103 day for us. So as we know, we've got our cover crop portion of our business, and for growers that are trying to add some maturity differences so they can take advantage of some of that early harvest to open up some acres, to make some applications of cover crops on those acres, this product does a really nice job. It's a medium statured plant. It's got a semi-flex ear type, so we have the ability to go out there and match up and marry our population to our soil characteristics, giving you guys the ability to change that maybe from a VRT perspective. Some of the things that we liked about this product is its competitiveness on performance. It's going to probably replace some of our 6444 as we go forward. It does come as a Smart Stacks rib, so it gives us the best insect protection out there in the marketplace. But then it's solid agronomic package. Very good on northern corn leaf blight, very good on gray leaf spot. It's got nice stalks and roots, so it's going to give us the ability to let that get planted, dry down, and give you some nice dry corn to get started off with in the fall. So it's a nice early addition to our lineup, and a set of agronomics that are very well suited for eastern Illinois. And even if you're looking at maybe potentially some corn on corn acres, it would have a nice fit in those acres as well. So our next stop is 6705. It's a 107-day Smart Stacks rib. We are also going to be selling this as a non-GMO. So So if you've got some acres that you're looking at a non-GMO contract, it does give you that opportunity to capture some early premium, potentially with an early maturing product. Really like this hybrid. It's been one of the top end yield performers in its maturity range. It has very good early season emergence and early season vigor. And likes to be placed on some of your better soils. I try to keep it off of sand and really droughty type of clays. It just doesn't have that knack to hold on together under those really droughty conditions, so I like to place it where it has the opportunity to really stretch its legs and perform. It's got a semi-determinate ear type, so we can tweak that population up a little bit on those better soils to maximize your ears per acre and capture as much of that kernel count as possible. Like I said, it's good early season emergence, very, very good test weight and grain quality as well. So it's got a lot of nice features that fit this hybrid. As a 107 day, it's going to be a nice early addition for us. Last year we placed it out, had very good results from it in testing, and this year we've got a lot of acres out. If it got planted in early to mid, the April 15th to April 18th window this year, it's about 2,550 heat units to physiological maturity. So I'd say in about the next 7 to 10 days, this is going to be a black layer, and we'll be ready to start drying down from that point on. It could be something shortly after Labor Day. We could look at getting the combine in the field and taking this stuff out. So nice 107-day product, well-managed acres, your high-end yield performance acres, great fit for this hybrid. 6844 I really like as a companion to 6705. It brings some diversity. It's very unique in the marketplace. So it's something that we can offer you guys. It's probably not going to be a duplicate that you're going to find somewhere else. Where 6705 tends to like to be on that really sweet kind of ice cream type of ground where you can really gain a lot of yield. 6844 has that ability. It's got a little bit more ear flex. We can push it onto some lighter textured soils real nicely, pull the population back. One of the things that this one I've really seen over the last couple years is it has a really good ability to handle wet feet early in the growing season. A lot of hybrids, you get them planted early, they get that wet May or wet June, and you start to see that tip back and some kernel abortion at the tip of that ear. This one, haven't seen it. Last year it really shined in our plot program because it had that ability to handle that wet feet that a lot of us had last year. Was a lot of wet soils, and it kind of rose to the top because of its ability to handle those wet soil conditions. Gets out of the ground extremely well in the spring, handles those cool wet soils, great for a no-till or a strip-till configuration, and giving you a nice Smart Stacks package, solid agronomics and good roots. Test weight's going to be good, grain quality is going to be just fine as well. So it's a nice companion to go with the 6705, but it gives you the ability to go across a wider variety of soils, a little bit more diverse type of environments with that 6844. So I mentioned at the beginning of when we started out here today that we've added some new technology to our lineup and broadened that out a little bit. And right behind me we've got two examples of that. We've got 6860, which is a Viptera 3111. So that's going to give you two modes of action of insect protection above ground and one form of rootworm protection below ground. Great hybrid, good if you're in a really heavy rootworm area. Still probably a product that I would recommend a soil applied insecticide to go with it. The single mode of action rootworm events under heavy rootworm pressure just don't have the durability, and so I don't want to have problems late in the harvest season of stalk lodging or root lodging. So I'd still recommend a soil applied insecticide if you're in an environment of continuous corn or you've been scouting and you know you've got heavy rootworm pressure going into next year's crop. The other is 6886. It offers VT Double Pro, so it doesn't have any rootworm protection, so you are going to have to use a soil applied insecticide. But these are two things that if you look at cost per acre, it gives you some flexibility there versus the Smart Stacks. Both of them have solid agronomics. One thing I've noticed on the 6860 this summer was that when we went through those 20 to 25 days in June when we didn't catch a lot of rains, it was some of the hybrids were starting to roll up, protect themselves, and go into that safe mode. 6860 stayed out there, open canopy really was just sucking in all that sunlight that it really could to put on a yield ear. Medium stature. It's got a little bit more ear flex than the 6886, but a nice hybrid in that 108-day relative maturity. We've got a lot of nice options in this 108-day range with a lot of genetic diversity, so you can spread your risk out with some great alternatives. 6886, a great workhorse style hybrid with a lot of yield kick. I kind of look at it a little bit like 8244 in some of those situations where you can put it in a lot of different soil types. It's not something that I'm going to lose a lot of sleep over. I'm putting it on those acres, but when the conditions are right, it'll put out some yield. We've looked at it the last couple of years as testing. The reason we hadn't brought it forward before is simply because it was a double pro. And we are staying pretty true to offering smart stacks to you guys to give the best protection from an insect strategy. But with the way the market's developed over the last 2 years, we thought we'd rather give you a really great performing hybrid. Growers are accepting the lower trait loads versus where they have in the past, and so it's a great alternative product in that 108-day maturity range. If you're a silage guy, you've got a beef herd or something, this comes in with some really good silage chop numbers, and so from a tonnage perspective and digestibility, it does offer some of that dual purpose capability, if you will, from this hybrid here at 6886. 110-day relative maturity, 8074. We've got this in a couple different trait packages, and that's in your product guide, so you've got some flexibility there to use what trait package is best suited for your operation. Medium tall, medium high ear placement, semi-determinate ear type, so we need population on this to maximize yield in those high-end yield situations. Shooting for a final harvest population, probably 33 to 35,000 plants per acre, harvestable ears per acre. Good agronomic package, puts on that nice big girthy ear, very consistent, that 16 to 18 kernel rows around with exceptionally good kernel depth. So we're going to have nice test weight and grain quality. Dries down really nice, gets a little bit of an open husk on it to help that dry down, and got pretty good gray and very good northern corn leaf blight tolerance. In high-end yield situations where if the margins are there, it would show some response to a fungicide application to help protect some of that yield potential. But this has been a really nice, consistent product. We can move it across a lot of different acres and works well for a lot of growers. So it's a nice product to add to that 110-day relative maturity. Quick Roots. Quick Roots is Randy, I'm going to tap you a little bit.
Enhances the root growth, Quick Roots. So it's something that we're looking at testing it. It's getting quite a bit of play in the marketplace. There are a lot of discussions about it. We're just trying to see, does it bring the value that it says it should? We saw some in various test plots. Here we didn't really see a big difference this year. We had a dealer sent us some pictures of a plot back in late May, early June, and the root mass was double on the seed that had been treated with the Quick Roots. So basically it's a biological that just really enhances the plant growth, helps a little bit with some phosphorus uptake. That's the other thing that it helps with. And we're studying it, so the 8074 and 6705, that seed is out of the same exact lot, split in half. So we've taken all the seed quality issues or concerns out of it. But we're looking at it side by side. It'll be one of those things that if we move forward with it, it's probably going to be in every bag. It'll just be in there.
There's a lot of unknowns about it, and it's something that if we don't at least investigate it, we would be doing you a disservice. Whether it's got legs or not, we'll find out. 8162 is a new release for us last year. We've got a nice number of acres out with this. It companions up on the 8074 really well. I mean, 110 and 111 day, semi-determinate. This has got a little bit more ear flex to it, so it does have the ability to go across some acres where you don't want to push that population up as high as what you might with the 8074. It's got a little bit different architecture to it. It's a little bit more upright, a little bit narrower canopy, and where I've got it on some fields, it's handling corn on corn extremely well. I try to shoot for probably that 32 to 34,000 plants per acre at harvest. It has good early emergence, so we can get it out early, and it's very uniform out there in the field. Nitrogen timing and nitrogen application. If we can get enough up front to get it going, that 25 to 30 pounds before V10, and then come back in later with some more with either a side dress or a wide drop situation, that'll handle the nitrogen strategy for this one really well. So it's a nice additional product, very unique in its makeup for out there in the marketplace. So it makes a nice additional hybrid to go in with these maturity ranges. So 8244 at 112 day, I kind of call this our cornerstone. From my perspective, I think every grower that's here should have 8244 on order. It just has that kind of a reputation and that kind of performance. Moderately tall plant type, medium high ear placement, semi-flex ear so we can crank the population up in really good growing conditions, or we can back it down if we get onto some tougher soil conditions. It's been able to handle sand and clay, and I've seen it where it's handled the prairie soils extremely well. Does have decent gray leaf spot. Not to say that it wouldn't respond to a fungicide application in those really high-end yield situations, but it's one of the guys that it's just very consistent year after year. It's been able to go up against 114-day hybrids on a yield and performance standpoint and be very competitive with great dry down and better net profitability to a fuller season hybrid because of its probably 2 to 3 points drier consistently over some big name hybrids that are out there in that maturity range. So if you haven't used this in the past, I recommend strongly that this be the cornerstone of any order that you put together with us as a great starting point at that 112 relative day maturity fit. 8312, the hybrid that we can't wait to get a hold of, and Kevin laughs. We brought this forward a year ago, due to nobody's fault but Mother Nature's, with all the wet weather we had last summer, we just didn't get the production out of it that we wanted. And so we brought it back to testing this year, showcasing again, and have full expectations to be able to service all the acres of it that we intend to. 113-day hybrid. We've had 8330 and 8388 in that same maturity range historically, and they've been both great hybrids. The challenge with them is they tended to carry moisture a little bit later into the growing season. The nice thing about the 8312 is that we're getting a bump on yield and we're dropping about 3 to 4 points of moisture than those other products. And so it makes it a really attractive product. That medium plant height, it's got that semi-flexing ear, so it goes across a wide variety of acres. It's got a good agronomic package, an exceptional test weight, and good dry down. And so it's hard to find a lot of holes with this. Here again, it'll make a great full season companion to 8244, and would expect it to continue to perform at the same level it has over the last 2 years. This year it's just going to really be something to watch for as you start seeing the yield results start to roll in. So this one, definitely put a star next to it. How many of those you want? Looks pretty good, doesn't it? 8404 is a new release for us. This is a 114-day VT Double Pro. Semi-determinate ear type. It's a product that offers some native anthracnose tolerance. So this year, as we go through as many overcast and cloudy days in a really high yield environment, this should really shine this fall from a late season integrity and stalk quality consideration. Good full season hybrid with very good plant health. It's got a nice girthy type of ear. It's going to put on that 18 kernel rows around by about 40 to 45 long. And with the VT Double Pro, we're going to get that full spectrum of insect protection above ground. If you're in a corn rootworm, remember to use a soil applied insecticide with this product. But it's a nice full season addition for us. Moves south extremely well. I know a year ago I had this at the plot over at the ISU farm at Lexington, and it ran 267 an acre. So it's got a lot of yield kick to it. was probably about 8 bushel better than the next closest candidate in the plot. So big yield product, great plant health and agronomics, with a good fit. So big lineup, guys. There's a lot of products in here. We're adding a lot of diversity from a trait perspective and genetic backgrounds. And so that's one of the big things. When I talk to you guys about putting seed together on your farm, is how do we spread risk? And how do we offer products that offer diversity without sacrificing performance or agronomics? And so that's one of the big things that I try to work with growers, is making sure that we've got diversity out there and getting the right product placed on the right acre. To finish up the corn conversation, I just want to add this agronomic note. If you haven't been, start scouting fields. I kind of mentioned it a little bit about the native anthracnose tolerance. We've had the wettest July, one of the 3rd wettest Julys in record. August has been pretty wet as well. With rain comes overcast skies. We've got a lot of yield potential, and that yield potential puts a drain on nutrients. And so if we don't have sunshine to create photosynthesis, we're working on a negative sink from the soil perspective. And if we don't meet that from a nutritional standpoint from the soil, we'll start to cannibalize stalks. So start walking your fields as we get close to black layer. Identify those hybrids that are going to be susceptible. Split stalks, check that pith, see which ones are nice, white, and healthy, which ones are starting to go bad, and then start to use that to lay down your harvest management plan. It's going to be a long fall just because of all the bushels that we're going to have to haul away from these fields, hopefully, and which means probably long lines at the grain elevator. And so making sure that we're not fighting down corn just makes the fall all that much longer. So identify those fields. If you got questions, ask one of your seed specialists here. We can help identify some of those hybrids that might be suspect early because of a stalk quality or potential. But make sure that we're watching those fields and make your harvest that much easier.